Hey everyone, and welcome to this video where I'm going to start a new series taking you on a journey with me developing a test project, side project that I've had an idea for. I've been getting so excited recently about using AI retrieval augmented generation models, RAG models, and I'm really excited about trying out something new, a new concept that I had, and just as a way to show how to build a Noodle app from scratch using N8N as a workflow management tool for the AI part, using Pocketbase as a super easy, quick and fun to set up backend, and just creating something that I think is really taking advantage of the technology that exists today. So I had this idea when I was thinking recently about, I was looking through a Facebook group for a local town where there's a lot of stuff going on, and I would like to see new businesses and offers and things that are happening in that town. And I stumbled upon one Facebook group that has a lot of activity. So a lot of people in that town use that Facebook group to post updates. So for example, to post like there's a special offer on foie gras or something, because I'm in the southwest of France. Or some new wine they just got in, or dog grooming is 20% off today, or whatever. But also things like somebody found a cat outside the local McDonald's, and I thought that's a really nice idea that people can post. This person posted that they found a cat outside of McDonald's and it looks a bit lost, and can anybody claim ownership of this cat? But when I came back to it and I looked at it several times, I realized that as great as a social idea it is, and a community idea that is, and I think with most social networks this is the issue, the information gets lost because people are posting approximately every 5 minutes. So if you have lost your cat and you come in there 2 hours after that person has posted, you're going to be sifting through 100 or so posts. I mean, I'm just making up numbers, but you know what I mean. You're not going to doom scroll through 100 posts hoping to find one where somebody's mentioned that they found a cat. And the Facebook search engine is crap, is really, really crap. I mean, I searched for like Sushi Montignac, which is the town next to where I live, and sometimes it won't even come up with the right. I know there is a sushi restaurant there, and it's called I Love Sushi or something like that, but I know that just Facebook is so crap that it might not actually bring up the right result. Or I'll search like sushi in my area or whatever, like sushi, local sushi, or sushi in this region, and it'll bring me up things that are in Paris, which is like 4 hours drive away. So that's not where I want to get my sushi from. So it just made me think, this is sad because there's so much content. Why can't there be something that could search through all that content and make a summary? Now, with a normal AI, you can't retrain it on every person's new post. It's not possible. You can't integrate each post, or like there's no context window big enough to pump out put a whole day's worth of posts into the context of the AI and say, hey, by the way, summarize this. It's just not possible. But with RAG, with retrieval augmented generation, the posts can become embedded vectorized things. I don't know, I'm not 100% sure on the vocabulary yet, but the posts can become vectorized, and that can be the basis of how something would be found by an AI, taking what the user is looking for and translating it into vectors in such a way that we can find similar posts that have been vectorized in the system. So why not have a system where I can go on and say, hey, I've lost my cat. Can you find anything in the area of Sarlat, which is this town next door, talking about having found a cat? And the AI could run the similarity search and find the top 10 posts that seem to be mentioning cats, that seem to have something to do with the area of Sarlat, and return that to the user and say, you should check out this and this and this post, and then give them a personalized feed of the post that they're looking for. So great idea. If you want to steal it, I don't care. Do whatever the hell you want with it. It's not really I'm not really interested in being an entrepreneur. But I went to ChatGPT and got it to give me a name. It came up with the name Tribu, which I like. You might call it tribu, I don't know, but the French word is tribu, which is tribe, because I said I wanted it to have a kind of classic. So that's one of the ideas, was that it should have a classic focus on the way Facebook used to be and social networks used to be. a focus on keeping up to date with your friend circle, but also having a sneaky look at what your friends' friends are up to, just in case there might be somebody who you haven't met yet who you might be interested in for friendship, for romance, whatever it is. So I don't want it to be a dating website. I don't want it to be a purely social media website or like Twitter. I just want it to be like Facebook was back in the days, a place where you can connect with friends, see outside the friend circle, and just see what everybody's up to in general. Whether that's businesses, whether that's people, it doesn't matter. So I got ChatGPT to pump out a project brief, so with the overview of what this thing is going to do and some key features that I think are really interesting. One of them being, which, I mean, this is all part of the experiment, so maybe I'm going too broad on this. Maybe I should focus in on something very specific. It's, possible. But one of my ideas was in terms of friend matching, so not just about finding things in your local community, but also about finding friends. One of the issues is that you're looking at matching algorithms where you're putting in, I have this and this interest, I have this and this quirk, I have this and this kink, whatever it is, that the algorithm then tries to match you up with other people, and it's doing it based on rankings and scores and stuff. Obviously AI is better because AI can actually understand not just X, Y, and Z interest, but it can understand text like, I'm interested in da 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 da. When I was a kid, I grew up with blah blah blah, and so now I'm really interested in X, Y, Z. So with vector similarity searches, you could also find, I think, friends who really share your interests more easily, but in a way that you, like, imagine you typed in to your profile like quite intimate stuff about yourself, not intimate, but like, secrets, things you would only tell your friends, like psychological things like I'm a bit shy, I'm a bit nervous, I get embarrassed sometimes when I have to speak publicly or whatever. Things you wouldn't really put on your public profile, but you put it in a private profile, and the private profile can only be read by the AI, and the AI uses your private profile to do a similarity search with other people's private information, so you can find, without having to tell people your innermost secrets, the AI acts as the matchmaker to go and, again, for friendship or for romance, to go and find people who share your more intimate details, and match you up without revealing their intimate details, without saying, hey, here's another person who's really ashamed of their mole on their back or whatever, but to say, here's a person you might like, just test them out and see. And the AI is the matchmaker, so you're not getting any more information than that. You can see their public profile and what they're interested in, and just trust that the AI knows what it's doing. And so if it's found this person, then it's because of their private profile. So that's a big ask, I suppose, for a lot of people to give up that kind of private information. But I'm interested to see if you could convince people somehow. I like to say that the private profile is stored on this server here in this country, and it's super safe, and you sign a user agreement that says your private profile will never be revealed to anyone except for the AI, and even the team who works on the app won't be able to see your data and stuff like that. So just by maybe guaranteeing privacy, would people be interested in doing that? And maybe just putting in like medium intimate information with the promise that might help them find somebody who they could really connect with on a very deep level, rather than just that surface, I like football, you like football, okay, let's hang out, and realize that we're actually completely incompatible on a deeper level. So that's an experiment, but I think the main experiment is interest-based discovery, and things like the not connection suggestions, but I think it's missed out here on content suggestions, but suggesting could be local content, could be interest-based content, whatever. But I think that's probably my main focus, is on find things easily in the mass of internet nonsense that fit what you're actually searching for, and you prompt to say what you're actually searching for. Then the other thing was, so one of the questions that popped into my head was, why don't you become an aggregator and kind of aggregate, like if I connect my Facebook account, it'll go and search for friends' posts and aggregate them and put them into a vector store, and I can get pointed towards things like Facebook posts or Twitter posts that would interest me, or that would summarize what my friends have been up to recently, something like that. So I think that's cool. I would do that in a V2 because it involves a lot more API and integration So I don't think I'm going to do that for the test version. I think the test version, I just want to have an independent platform where people can go. And that there's been case studies where people have tried to do that aggregator thing, but have actually found that people prefer to have a separate private space to do this kind of stuff, and they might decide to use it Tribu for something particular and not more general social media stuff, but something more specific. So who knows? Let's just build it and find out. And I think the building process is the most fun for me, so that's where I'm going. So that was GPT made this, and then another website, can't remember what it was called. I just searched for UI design AI, and the first thing that came up pumped me out a few screens that I thought looked pretty good. So like a feed screen where you get to prompt the assistant here and maybe specify if you want to have updates from friends like summarized, or if you want to see search results based on your prompt. And you see people's posts, I guess, as well, but like more, I imagine that you would see people's posts only when you've prompted, which might be restrictive, but might be cool to be like, we don't want people to doom scroll, because I'm a victim of doom scrolling at the moment, and it's bumming me out. So we don't want you to doom scroll. You have to want to see something that's specific. So you're interested in the latest election news or political whatever, then say I'm interested in the latest political information, and then it pumps out a feed that's based on that. So you can doom scroll then through the things that the AI has found for you, but say it only finds 10 or 20 things at once, and so it's the objective would be that it's found you say only 5 things, but the 5 things you actually genuinely are interested in because you prompted to say specifically what you're interested in. So that's the feed part, and then these are not the same obviously, but they look similar enough that I can take them and use them for what I want to do. This would be the discover page, so maybe look at things that are trending, and this would be a bit more like, maybe not doom scrolling, but maybe if you go to the discover page, then the AI uses your profile to do vector similarity search with what are the most recent posts that have something similar to your profile in terms of your interests and things like that. So that could be cool. And then writing a post, standard stuff, text editor, adding images, I guess. I don't know about adding images yet, because I don't have a system yet that can do embeddings with images. I'm not sure if it exists. It certainly would be paid. I was wondering about Llama 3.2, because they have the 60 billion model, or 120 billion model that has image vectorization as well. But I don't know if they do embeddings or just searches. I don't know. So I'm not going to mess with images right now. So we'll probably not do these little icons here. Just do a standard post, some suggested hashtags. In the end, hashtags could also work with the vector search. So if you hashtag Sunday Fun Day, whatever that is, then that could go into the vector search. That'll be part of the vector search later. So we'll include that. I don't know about suggested content, but yeah, keep it simple. So these 3 simple screens. And then I've done a canvas, because I use Canva, to do YouTube video designs. And so I've got access to the whiteboard. I don't know if it's free or not. Anyway, it's handy just to have a quick whiteboard to show architecture. So I thought we're going to have a Noodl front-end app, which will be there for setting your user profile, creating new posts, updating your post, deleting posts. Every time you change something that's content on the front end, you're going to A, push it into Pocketbase, just so there's a permanent data store that's easily queryable, and B, push it into a vector database. Now, a vector database could in theory be used in place of a Pocketbase in terms of for storing the data itself, for storing the actual posts. But I'd rather, from the experiments that I've done, it's better to use the vector results just as food for the AI, for the conversational agent, than it is to actually try to get them returned specifically, which you can, but I think I'd rather have Pocketbase as like a more solid base to work from. And so yeah, the post will also go into a vector store. The vector store will be the content stored in the vector store will be embedded by OpenAI. Why? Because I've done an experiment there recently, and the OpenAI Ada model, which what's it called? OpenAI embedding Ada. Where is it? Ada 002. Yeah, text embedding Ada 002. So this model is, so far within the test that I did, this model versus Llama's embedding model performed way better. In terms of, the Llama model didn't return at all what the prompt had asked it to return. So the similarity search failed basically repeatedly, like it never got the right answer. And having looked it up, the explanation from ChatGPT was that perhaps since Llama is doing an embedding model that's 3072 dimensions, it's too many dimensions, and whereas text embedding Ada 002 does 1000 and something embeddings. Where is it? Oh no. 1536 embeddings. So that's what I understood from ChatGPT was that is better for smaller chunks of information. If you're working with really large data sets, then 3072 could be better, which is the Llama default. But for Ada, it's using that smaller number of dimensions, which means slightly more accurate for small quantities. And in fact, in the end, it was absolutely right. And the results coming out of Ada for the smaller chunks of text that I had, maybe one paragraph long each, it really worked out way better. So I would I'm going to be trying that, which sucks because I wanted it all to be local and not having to pay, but you're never going to escape it. I'm also going to use for when we're doing the vector search, Llama's going to be there for the conversation part, so that's going to save money. We're just using text embedding, which is quite cheap when it comes to what we're trying to do, which is just create embeddings for very small chunks of text. So very few tokens used. The user will make a query. That query will be reduced down to its essence with Llama as a conversational agent, and then that essence, which will only be a handful of tokens, will be embedded by Ada and then used in the vector store to return the data we need. So it will be pretty low cost in terms of API, I think, but we'll see when we test. It'll also use Zep to store the memory from the chat agent and the user's interaction. Why Zep? Because Zep has this magical ability to, when you start getting sessions recorded, it'll start making generalizations about users. So Zep has an internal system. At the moment, I'm only using their cloud plan because I can't get the local one to work, but there is a local open source version, but I want to use the cloud one just to keep things simple. It makes generalizations about users such that even with their profile, we can make we can give more context to the AI thanks to Zep saying, say for example, that person has searched for, they didn't put anything in their profile about dogs, but a lot of their searches have been about dogs and like show me cute pictures of dogs and stuff like that, and lots of pictures, prompts about dogs over like several days. Zep every time will say this person seems to like dogs, and then that will get reinforced by multiple asks, and then what you'll have is in the user profile these like top 10 facts about this user really likes dogs. So that information is delivered to the chat agent in N8N to give it more context about the user. So that's a really interesting feature of Zep. It's not just giving the memory of the conversation, it can also give summaries of the conversation and generalizations about the user who's making the new session with the AI. So it really is getting to know each individual person, which again might be kind of creepy for some people. So I'm prepared for that it might be a little bit disturbing to have A, the system know your kind of intimate details, and B, the system to be learning about you based on what you've been saying. So I do feel like getting this into a local server hosted somewhere where I have control over it. I have control. That's a bit creepy as well, isn't it? Why should I have control? So maybe some sort of oversight committee or some sort of non-profit association is tasked with keeping this information private and safe. That could help, I think. I don't think having it in Zep's cloud in the United States is going to help people feel safe about that. So something to think about. And so everything is going to be stored after all of this is said and done. Everything is stored in Qdrant, whatever it's called. Why? Because I've played a little bit with Postgres vector store. So there's the Superbase version, which is basically just Postgres vector storage. It's fine, but having consulted a bit with Mr. GPT, I came to understand that Qdrant is one of the ones that it's very specifically designed to do that one job, which is vector searching. And so it does outpace things like Postgres in terms of search result speed and scalability as well. So it's just a good choice. I think it's free, it's open source, it's really easy to use, and it's open and it's scalable. So I think that's a good choice for storing our vectors. And then finally, the systems that we're going to use for actually doing the vector search and managing the Qdrant store is going to be N8N, open source, and free to set up on your own. So that's a really easy, low to no code way of interacting and doing all this crazy stuff with these different services. So it's a big stack, but it's a necessary stack. And I think this is going to be a really interesting experiment. So I'm going to cut this one short so you get the introduction to the project. And I'm going to start a new video where I actually dive into the project. So if you're interested in the genesis of the project, you've watched this video. And if you want to stick around for the actual meat of the issue, then it's in the next video. So hope to see you there.